On this week's show, we're going to look at some young farmers in the province. Hi, I'm Roger Monder, your host for Breaking Ground. Nathan Dennis of Piccadilly on the Port-au-Port Peninsula always wanted to be a farmer. Just a simple vegetable garden in his parents' backyard got him hooked. Now he's acquiring his own farmland and spending a lot of time with other farmers on the West Coast, soaking up all the knowledge farmers are willing to share. He strongly feels the future for him will be good and that farming is a career well worth pursuing. Michelle and Jim Lester have expanded their successful farm to include the concept of opening it up to the general public. They have made a substantial financial and emotional commitment to agro-tourism. They have lots to offer in that their farm has many attractions which hold great appeal to not only children, but to adults also. But really, it's the educational aspect of the business that holds a high priority for them. Children get to make their connection with the food that they eat every day. On the farm, they get to find out where their food comes from. Kitty and Ann are back with us again this week with a look at unusual soups that will definitely catch your eye and tantalize your palate. Kitty is always good at challenging us with new recipes and new approaches. This show is not only for the young, but the young at heart. We'll see you in 2. Welcome back to the show. Nathan Dennis is a young farmer from Piccadilly. Here's his story.
No, this is not a statement as to the state of farming on the Port-au-Port Peninsula. But it is a statement about a young farmer who believes in going one step at a time. It's a lesson he learned at an even younger age.
I was perhaps around between 11 and 12 years of age when I planted the first bit of potatoes and along with a few carrot, a few turnip. And it just kept growing from there. And eventually, as through high school, and I just kept going, grow a little more every year, and eventually went from a little more than just a home garden and started selling a few to neighbors and just kept growing continuously. Not quite sure, I guess something just that you're born with, I guess you could say. It's just always in me. I enjoyed it, enjoyed working with the land, with animals, just enjoyed everything about it.
One of the best ways to learn anything is through practical experience. Nathan Dennis is aware of that and is lucky enough to feel he's already a part of the tight-knit community on the west coast of the island.
In particular, I had to get a lot of credit to Ernest and Walter Romaine out in Port-au-Port. They've helped me tremendously along the way. But I've dealt with other farmers as well, Eric and Michelle, Phil and Pauline. Over at Headline Holsteins, they've helped me out quite a bit along the way as well. Learning experience with cattle and in the dairy industry. It's and dealt with other farmers as well, different types of farmers, whether it be sheep farmers or beef farmers, hay producers, any type. I've always tried to make the best communication with any farmer. There's not a whole lot of us. I mean, there's a number of us, but not compared to other provinces. So I'm trying to keep a fairly tight-knit, communication amongst one another.
Even though Nathan is only 18, he already has a keen sense of what he has to know in order to make his own farm in Piccadilly work in a feasible manner.
You need to have more one trade than one, really. You had to be electrician, mechanic, if you have any barns, or I guess even no matter what you're in, you're going to have buildings. So you had to be a carpenter and, perhaps even, construction worker, that kind of thing. When it comes to the paper work part of it, I mean, you had to be an accountant, you had to be, a business person all the way around. Then when it comes to different rules and regulations and courses in farming, I mean, especially like if you're into the crops where you need to be with pesticides, I mean, you had to be, really, I guess on a smaller scale, you're almost a chemist. You just have so many different things, and if you have livestock, you learned a lot of ins and outs of the minor things of doing veterinary work. I mean, there's just, you need to know basically everything.
But farming is nothing if not a challenge. But he sees opportunity not only for himself, but other young farmers as well.
Oh, certainly. I mean, there's a huge opportunity for myself to, to expand, and I mean, there's more than enough opportunity for more than myself to expand, or even anyone starting up. I mean, there's lots of land here. May not be as big as other farming communities, but I mean, there's definitely enough land here that there could be, a certain number of farms, which would be feasible for people to farm, whether if it would be vegetables or if there be, different specialty farms, that kind of thing. But I mean, there's definitely, room to expand. I mean, there's lots of land that's been vacant for years. People's either, have gotten older and can't work it anymore, or they've gone away to different provinces to work, or they've handed on to their children, and their children has no use for it. The land, the soil types is fairly good. It's reasonable. It's some of it you have to do a lot of work to get it properly, for growing root crops. But for the most part, there's some really decent land. And there's actually quite a bit of land. It was a lot of homestead farms at one time, which are gone vacant now, so which leaves a lot of open land, so you can actually get use of it. So there's definitely, I mean, for the most part, I mean, I've had good luck with dealing with people and getting to use their land. Some people I'm leasing off of. So, it's, from my personal experience, I've had a good experience.
And one reason Nathan Dennis has such a positive attitude perhaps comes from his experience with selling vegetables.
As of so far, there has been no trouble whatsoever. Generally, I don't have enough to sell, so I'm actually looking at increasing somewhat more again in the spring with crops. So, like I said, so far there has been no trouble selling produce.
There seems no doubt that Nathan plans to make a career out of farming.
The province could use more farmers like Nathan. When we return, we're off to the Goulds to visit Michelle and Jim Lester. Glad to see you're still with us. Now we're heading off to the farm of Jim and Michelle Lester, where we'll soon learn that there is more to farming than farming.
Most farmers in this province cultivate vegetables. But Michelle and Jim Lester, well, cultivate kids. Not the goat variety, but the human kind. That may seem like an odd statement, but indeed they do simply because they are in the agro-tourism business. Kids of all ages form a big part of the clientele that visit the St. John's farm. There's lots to see and do, and of course, learn.
A parent that has a child from any age, from 1-year-olds right up until 8, 9-year-olds, and even beyond that, we offer our facility to them to see a heritage sheep display, run through our corn maze, probably do a little scavenger hunt. They'll go in our petting barn and see our animals, touch and feel, get up close and personal with them. They'll get a pony ride, individual pony rides. They get a nice wagon ride out through the farm. They'll probably pick some corn, some berries. It depends on the time of the year. Pull a carrot fresh out of the ground, or like I say, get up close and personal and touch a huge horse.
My grandfather said to me one time, he said, "There's something about the outside of a horse that's good for the inside of a man." And I'll remember that statement forever, and it's true.
Are we allowed to hold on to these so we can feed them?
Yeah, when you get to the car. I really do enjoy interacting with the kids and the parents. As I said, agriculture is not only an employment for me, it's my passion. And when I get a chance to share any little tidbit or promote agriculture in any way, well, I do. Whether it be, pointing out how much land it takes to feed 100 people. That's my, my cliche line on the wagon. I'll always say, okay, well, see this field here? You can fit 5 house lots in this field, but you could also feed 100 people from one full year. And that's something really important, that we can drive home to the kids and the parents, so, to encourage more support for agriculture. And one of the biggest questions we get is, does that brown cow still give chocolate milk?
Well, chocolate milk aside, there are other questions that have to be asked, like, why not just stick to growing vegetables? And what are some of the other reasons for bringing the general public onto the farm?
we originally started out in the same type of thing on a larger wholesale level. We were selling almost $1 million worth of stuff wholesale. And that included anything like prepared salads or stir fries. And then that market all of a sudden became no longer available to us. So myself and Michelle sat down and said, well, you know, what do we like about our farm? And we said, well, you know, we like doing this, and we like entertaining people, and we like sharing our passion for agriculture. And this is how we came up with our new agritourism initiative. Agritourism is not only the sale of farm goods, but it's the sale of farm experiences. And that is what we've embarked on, and so far it's been quite successful. And when we complete our project, there's a ready market out there for that type of thing. Entertainment on the farm.
Even though their agro-tourism business is not fully developed yet, it has shown great signs of success.
Well, last week, despite the weather, which was raining 4 out of the 5 days, we still done 6 school tours with over 300 students. And actually on that tour, Michelle had the opportunity to go as well. And she brought back some great ideas, and we're now in the works with the local Department of Education to develop a program that could be infiltrated into the curriculum. And you know, it's great for kids to come out to the farm and you know, tramp through the mud and see the animals, but the children are basically the policymakers and the consumers of the future. And if we can start you know, educating them how important agriculture is and how valuable it is to have an industry in our own province and not be so reliant on outside sources, I think that'll go a long way for future generations of farmers in Newfoundland and for the general population.
As farmers, both Michelle and Jim share a great passion for growing things. But there's more to farming than just growing vegetables and tending to animals.
We do. We have 3 small children of our own, and we like to include them where we can. Growing up on the farm, I think, is something that we would like to share with everybody else. So if I can give the general population a little taste of my lifestyle and the things that I love on the farm, then I'm doing something right. If they're having fun learning, we're on the right path.
There's obviously room for more agro-tourism farms in this province. And next up is...
We'll have hot soup, cold soup, red soup, gold soup, 4 different kinds of soup when we come back.
And now we're off to Ann Budgell's kitchen with Chef Kitty Drake.
Hi everybody, I'm Ann Budgell and welcome to my kitchen. Kitty Drake and I are here today, and today is soup day, right Kitty?
Right.
And not a soup bone to be found in this kitchen today.
No bones about it.
You have to explain yourself.
Yes. We are doing pureed soups today. Mainly vegetable, but there's vegetables and fruit. And some are hot and some are cold, and they all look beautiful and taste delicious.
The color already is gorgeous here in front of me.
No, it's wonderful.
What one are we going to make for everybody?
You, lucky you, are going to make sweet and sour beet soup.
All right.
And I decided, since none of us have any time, that I wouldn't really do any cooking with this one at all. So I bought a tin of beets, and I bought beef broth and coffee cream, and all I had to do is chop half a cup of onions. So put the beets in the pot.
Dumping in the beets as we speak.
And the onions.
Okay.
And I will take the mashed potatoes, which are left over from dinner last night, and throw that in. And then a cup of beef broth. You can start to get your magic tool.
I've got my immersion blender here.
Oh, I know. You've got a real thing about that, Ann.
These things are great, Kitty. Do you use one of these?
Yes, I do. Not as much as you do. I tend to use the other thing, but I understand why you love them, because they're easy to clean.
Yeah, and you don't have to have another container, right? You can do it right in the pot.
So there's not even much cleanup here. And then here's your half and half in there. And the last thing that I have to put in to make it sweet and sour is, this is fun, isn't it? Is 2 tablespoons of sugar and 2 tablespoons of cider vinegar. Keep going.
Some pretty color.
There you go.
Yeah.
And last but not least is a grinding of pepper. Okay, go, Ann. I'll be quiet now for a second while you give that. Come on, show your power. Go. Ooh, nice.
This will take a bit longer than we have, actually.
Yeah, so we will stop.
But people will get the general idea that that's so easy to do.
It will end up looking like that. And all you do then is put it on the stove and just heat it to simmering.
Okay.
And I have to say it's also very, very good chilled.
All right. Well, I want to taste that in a minute.
Yeah, it's a winner.
Tell me about this soup right here.
This one is pureed vegetables. I pureed celery, carrots, potatoes, parsnip, and turnip. And I just cooked them all up together because, you know, if they're overcooked, it doesn't matter. You
cook them in some stock or something?
Well, in water, because you're going to use the water even. Just don't put a whole lot of water, and you can use that as the base. And again, it's pureed. And then to make it kind of pretty, I put some broccoli florets on top. And again, you can put cream in it if you want, but you don't have to. You can make it as thick as or thin as you want it also.
You know, when you're thinking ahead, like if you're roasting some vegetables for dinner, you could throw a handful or two extra in.
Absolutely.
And then you'll have the leftover roasted vegetables to make the puree.
And a roasted one is even better than a boiled one. It has that, roasting brings out the real vegetable. Yes, beautiful.
And do it with parsnips for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
You gotta have parsnips.
Gotta have parsnips.
Now this is a really pretty color.
That is your butternut squash soup. And again, either cook your squash or roast it, which again is marvelous. And puree it with or without cream. All of these soups, it really depends on what you want. If you want them to have a chicken stock or a beef stock, you can. If you want just vegetable stock, you can. If you want cream or sour cream or yogurt, you can do all of that.
I made a squash soup a few weeks ago, and I had curried squash soup and had a sweet potato in it. And I was thinking I could have thrown some carrots in there too.
You can throw cheese in too. I mean, that's the other thing. You can just add cheese to these and swirl it all up.
They're so good for you.
Right. And one thing, garnish for this one that's really nice and would be marvelous with the curried one you mentioned would be some sauteed apple. You know,
yummy.
Really yummy.
Yep. So. Now, the most glamorous soup on the table here today is this one. What a color.
Yep, that's blueberry soup.
Dessert?
It can be dessert or it can be a light appetizer. There's all kinds of fruit soups out there that people never think about, and they're really lovely.
I don't think I've ever eaten fruit soup in my life.
Well, you'll get to taste this one. This one is blueberries, water, white wine. Cook it up until the blueberries go nice and juicy. Put it in the blender, and it has yogurt in it. And I swirl some yogurt on the top to make it look nice.
Now, we've got a fairly large portion in that bowl there.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, isn't it? Like if you were giving that to someone as an appetizer,
I'd be a smaller bowl. Yes.
Little dainty.
Although I have to admit that I was able to sort of just drink that down.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah. Well, it's a nice healthy drink too. Well, I'm dying to taste these.
Okay.
So I'm going to go for the pink and the purple today.
Good idea.
All right?
Yep.
So here's our sweet and sour beet soup. And we warmed this one up slightly, and it's got a swirl, a very pretty swirl of yogurt on top. I like beets. I'm a big fan of beets. I like that a lot.
I know, and it's so simple. Can you believe it?
Yeah, vinegary, creamy,
sweet.
Not too much vinegar.
Not too much sweet. It's really nice.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have another mouthful of that. Oh, I love that one.
And no time at all to make it.
Really good.
Yep.
She made it with a can of beets.
A can of beets, you got it. And here is your blueberry, chilled blueberry soup. And this, as I said, has yogurt in it.
Wow. That is really nice. I wouldn't mind eating a bowl of that.
No, and I think it would be nice to have some fresh mint. You know, a little bit of mint with that, or a squeeze of lime too, would be just really good.
It's gorgeous.
Which is what the thing about soup is that you can do whatever you want.
That's
a little bit of lime, a little bit of nutmeg, you name it. There's just infinite possibilities.
And it all doesn't have to start with a turkey bone.
No, not at all.
Or an old piece of beef.
No.
Kitty, wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's it for today.
Boy, you can always rely on Kitty to come up with something different. Next week, we're off to visit dairy farmer Crosby Williams. The farm at one time also grew vegetables, but as the second generation took over, the decision was made to concentrate on dairy. Technology played a big part in that decision and still plays a big part on the farm today. Computerized milking systems, advanced baling machinery, and many more innovations have made life on the farm more economical and manageable. More and more organic produce can be found in our supermarket shelves. This province has been blessed with natural fertilizers that could make this province a bigger player in the local organic food market. Visiting organic farmer Rupert Yanish sees a lot of pluses for organic farming in this area, and being a descendant of the Moravians in Labrador, he can make a strong case for organic farming happening anywhere in this province. And Kitty Drake is back in Ann Budgell's kitchen with a look at how to make chutneys. Chutneys are easy to make, and in this province we have a lot of the natural ingredients to make the best that can be had. Well, we hope to see you again this time next week. I'm your host, Roger Monder.